He thought he had it all: money, power, the perfect life. Until he discovered his wife was having an affair with his sister's husband. That was the moment everything changed. What followed was a plan, cold, calculated, and executed with precision. But does revenge ever truly bring peace? And in the end, who really wins? And who's left with nothing? Before starting the story, leave a comment indicating which city you are watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy watching. I always believed money could solve anything. That belief held strong until the day I learned my wife was sleeping with my sister's husband. Not a stranger, not a random fling. My sister's husband. It was the kind of betrayal that doesn't just shake your world, it shatters it. And what made it worse? I saw it coming and still chose to ignore the signs. My name's Michael Preston, 45 years old, real estate investor, net worth just shy of $180 million. To the world, I had it all. Sprawling penthouse in Manhattan, beach house in Malibu, a portfolio that could make a hedge fund blush, and a wife so stunning strangers couldn't help but stare. Her name was Vanessa, ex-model turned luxury interior designer. We were the couple people envied. They shouldn't have. For the past year, our marriage had been distant, not broken, not cold, just hollow. Vanessa started working later, smiling less, sleeping with her back turned toward me. And every time I asked if something was wrong, she gave me the same polished line: "Everything's fine, you're just stressed." I knew better. What I didn't expect, that the man she was running to was married to my own sister, Lauren. His name was Caleb, a lawyer, the charming kind, and apparently the man who had no issue screwing over two families at once. I found out on a Monday. I'd come home early from a business trip, an impulsive move driven by gut instinct. The minute I walked through the front door, I noticed the quiet, the kind of quiet that tells you something's wrong. I made my way up the stairs and heard it. Vanessa's voice, whispering, giggling, then a man's voice, not mine. I didn't charge in like some drama-fueled fool. I stood outside the door and listened, long enough to confirm what my heart already knew. I walked away without a word. I drove for hours. No music, no calls, just silence, processing, planning. That night, I called my sister, asked her to meet me at the lake house the next morning. Alone. Lauren arrived in sweats, thinking it was just a brother-sister catch-up. I poured her coffee, sat her down, then said the words no one ever wants to hear. "Your husband is sleeping with my wife." She blinked, once, twice, then laughed. "Michael, that's not funny. It's not a joke." I laid out everything. The phone records, the hotel receipts, the surveillance footage I'd had pulled after hiring a private investigator 2 weeks prior. It felt paranoid at first, but it turned out to be the smartest decision I'd ever made. Lauren stared at the evidence, jaw tight, eyes hollow. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just whispered, "So what do we do now?" That was the moment, the turning point, the shift, because we weren't victims. We were survivors, and survivors plan. I leaned forward, voice low. "We get revenge, but we do it smart, and we do it slow." Lauren nodded. That was the beginning, the moment the mirror cracked. You'd be surprised how calm revenge can feel when it's deserved. Not angry, not chaotic, just calculated. Lauren stayed at the lake house that night. Neither of us slept. We stayed up making lists, not of names, but of vulnerabilities. I knew Vanessa better than she knew herself. Lauren knew Caleb's weaknesses like muscle memory. By sunrise, we had a blueprint. We didn't want to destroy them quickly. We wanted them to unravel. It started with access. Lauren moved back into the house she once shared with Caleb. He had no idea she knew. She played the doting wife, careful and sweet. I did the same. I didn't confront Vanessa. I kissed her on the cheek every morning, asked about her day, let her believe everything was normal. That was key. Let them get comfortable, because comfort makes you sloppy. I installed new cameras in the penthouse, hidden ones, replaced the housekeeper's schedule so I'd be the only one reviewing the footage. Within a week, I had hours of new proof. Caleb visiting, Vanessa lying, them laughing, kissing, plotting. But what they didn't know, we were plotting harder. Lauren used Caleb's trust against him, got his phone password, monitored his texts, and forwarded key conversations to me. Caleb trusted her completely, so much that he never bothered to delete anything. Sloppy. And Vanessa? Her mistakes were simpler. She got lazy with her lies, slipping up in small ways, missing dinners, forgetting our anniversaries. Little things that made it easy to build the case. 2 weeks later, Lauren found something big in Caleb's emails. A hidden offshore account he'd kept secret, funneling cash from his legal firm. "Caleb's stealing," she whispered over the phone, excitement and anger in her voice. "From his partners. Millions." I felt the first real surge of triumph. We had leverage now, a way to break them piece by piece. "What do we do next?" Lauren asked, breathless. "We let them think they're winning," I replied, calm and focused, "until they realize they've already lost. Every good revenge plan is like a carefully woven spider's web, delicate, precise, and invisible until it's too late." Over the next month, we moved slowly, ensuring Caleb and Vanessa felt utterly safe. Lauren made sure Caleb's partners anonymously received subtle hints about his financial misconduct, planting seeds of suspicion. Meanwhile, I organized a lavish event at our Malibu beach house, an exclusive gathering of influential people, including Caleb's senior partners and Vanessa's high-profile clients. It was a beautiful night. Stars overhead, waves crashing gently, champagne flowing freely. Vanessa dazzled the guests, unaware of the trap we'd set. Caleb mingled comfortably, unaware the partners he was defrauding were quietly discussing his future from a distance. As planned, Lauren discreetly approached Caleb mid-evening, voice trembling convincingly. "Caleb, your partners asked about the Cayman accounts today. They know." He went pale. "Impossible. You should talk to them," she urged, eyes wide with faux concern. Caleb hurried away, straight into his own demise. Across the room, I approached Vanessa. She smiled brightly, utterly unaware. "Everything's perfect tonight," she purred. "It is," I agreed calmly. "Almost as perfect as your lies." Her smile faltered. "What?" I leaned in, voice soft but firm. "I know everything. Enjoy tonight, Vanessa. It's your last night in my world." Her face drained of color as I turned and walked away. The dominoes had started falling. Within days, Caleb faced dismissal and legal action. Vanessa's clients canceled contracts, horrified by scandal rumors I anonymously spread. We were ready for the endgame. Revenge has a funny way of reshaping your world. As Caleb and Vanessa crumbled, Lauren and I watched, feeling neither joy nor sorrow, only a calm, cold satisfaction. Caleb's partners publicly exposed his fraud, his reputation left in ruins. Vanessa, stripped of her high society clients, faced financial collapse and social exile. Then came the divorce papers delivered on the same day simultaneously. Both were blindsided, stunned by our careful orchestration. Vanessa came to me, desperate and teary-eyed. "Michael, I made a mistake. Forgive me, please." I shook my head, unmoved. "Too late, Vanessa. You taught me betrayal has consequences. Consider this my parting gift." Lauren confronted Caleb calmly, standing firm. "You gambled our life away, Caleb. Now you'll face what you deserve, alone." We watched as their worlds collapsed, feeling no sympathy, only relief. Revenge had delivered justice, and we emerged stronger, wiser, and free. But as the dust settled, I couldn't help wondering, had we really won? Or had revenge merely left us empty, victorious but hollow? I thought revenge would give me peace, closure, some final moment of satisfaction. Instead, what I found was silence. In the weeks after the storm, Lauren moved out of the house she once shared with Caleb and into a quiet brownstone on the Upper West Side. She decorated it herself, every color intentional, every piece of furniture handpicked, like a woman rebuilding not just a home, but a self. I kept the penthouse, for a while, But even there, with Vanessa gone and every trace of her wiped clean, the place felt hollow. Like it was still haunted by the ghost of who I used to be, the man who thought love was forever and loyalty came easy. Lauren and I kept close. We weren't the same after what we'd done, but there was something comforting in the shared understanding. We met once a week, same table at the same old bistro on 59th. No talk of Caleb, no talk of Vanessa, just updates, business, life, a laugh or two when we could find one. Then, one night, Lauren looked at me and said, "You know what I miss most?" I sipped my drink. What? Not knowing. The days before any of this happened. Before the lies. I nodded. Yeah, ignorance had its charm. The media loved the scandal. Headlines, op-eds, social media takedowns. Caleb vanished from the public eye, and word was he'd fled the country to avoid prosecution. Vanessa filed for bankruptcy and moved in with a distant cousin in Jersey. No one really cared what happened to them, but I cared about something else. Me. I needed to know who I was without them, so I started something new. Not a company, not a deal, something personal. I took time off months, traveled, alone, Morocco, Lisbon, Kyoto, left my phone off for days at a time, met people who didn't know my name or my bank balance. And for the first time in a long time, I listened more than I talked. By the time I returned to New York, something in me had changed. Maybe not healed, but softened, enough to look at the skyline and see beauty again instead of battle. Lauren met someone, a man named Marcus. Steady, kind, nothing flashy, just solid. When she introduced us, I could tell by her smile. It was real, the kind that doesn't need approval, only peace. "Do you like him?" she asked me after he left the restaurant. "I do," I said, "and I like you more when you're with him." She smiled. That's all I needed to hear. As for me, love didn't come right away. I wasn't looking, but one afternoon at the Met, I sat beside a woman sketching sculptures in a worn leather notebook. She asked what I saw when I looked at Rodin's The Thinker. I said, "A man trying to solve a puzzle he built himself." She laughed. "Sounds like someone I'd like to know. We've been talking ever since." There is no clear ending to stories like this. There is no final chord. There are only lessons, scars, and something resembling peace. I thought I had lost everything on the day I learned the truth. But perhaps that was the day I finally became free. And freedom? It is worth everything. Months passed. Life slowed. Or maybe I just started moving at its pace. One cold January morning, I found myself staring out the window of my penthouse. Snow fell quietly, coating the city in a white silence. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about business or betrayal. I was thinking about that woman from the Met. Her name was Grace. She taught art at a small college in Brooklyn, spent her weekends volunteering at a children's museum, and believed in handwritten letters and second chances. The kind of woman who didn't care about the market or the Manhattan elite. The kind of woman who saw me, not the version on magazine covers, but the one beneath it all. We started with coffee, then dinners, then long walks that turned into longer nights. She never asked about Vanessa, never pushed for details, but I told her anyway. One night on her couch, surrounded by the quiet of her little apartment, I let it all out. She didn't flinch. She just held my hand and said, "Sounds like you made it through hell. I'm glad you did." I didn't know how much I needed to hear that. Meanwhile, Lauren was planning a wedding. Nothing grand, nothing flashy, just her, Marcus, and a guest list small enough to fit in the garden of their new place in Montauk. She asked me to walk her down the aisle. I said yes and meant it with everything I had. "Feels weird, doesn't it?" she said during one of our last planning calls. "Starting over, I mean, not weird," I replied. Brave. The day of the wedding was bright and crisp. Lauren looked radiant, and when I took her arm, I realized something. We weren't just survivors anymore. We were builders, restorers, quiet warriors who'd clawed our way through betrayal and still found love on the other side. I gave her away with a smile, and for the first time in a long time, it felt like something was being given back to me too. Grace stood next to me during the ceremony. Her fingers found mine and squeezed them, just once. That was enough to say, "I see you, I'm here." And that's how I stopped looking for closure, or revenge, or completion, because I already had what was most important, peace, and a future worth living for. It had been over a year since the world fell apart and then quietly put itself back together. I'd stopped checking the headlines, stopped tracking court records, stopped wondering what had become of Vanessa and Caleb, or so I told myself. Then one rainy Thursday, a letter arrived. Not an email, not a phone call, a real letter, handwritten in uneven script. The return address smudged but familiar. It was from Caleb. I sat at my kitchen counter staring at the envelope for 20 minutes before opening it. Grace noticed the tension in my shoulders but didn't ask. She knew when to give me space. The letter was short. "Michael, I know I have no right to ask you for anything. I know I destroyed everything, but I'm dying, and I thought maybe you'd want to know. I'm in Miami, stage 4. No family left but Lauren, and I don't expect her to come. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just for 5 minutes. Caleb." I read it twice, then again, and still all I felt was heat in my chest, rage maybe, or something colder. That night I told Grace. I expected her to tell me to forget it, but she didn't. "Maybe 5 minutes is what you need too," she said gently. I flew down that weekend, not to forgive, not to console, just to look him in the eye one last time. The hospital was modest. Caleb was smaller than I remembered, thinner, fragile. The man who once strutted through courtrooms now looked like a sketch of himself. He looked up when I entered, didn't smile, just nodded. "Didn't think you'd come," he rasped. "I didn't come for you," I said. "I came for me." We sat in silence for a long time. Eventually he said, "I ruined everything. For nothing." "You ruined yourself," I replied. "We just watched." Caleb closed his eyes. Fair enough. He didn't ask for redemption. He didn't cry. He just looked tired. And for some reason I'll never fully explain, I said, "Tell me what you want me to do with your name." He looked surprised, then whispered, "Erase it." I left without shaking his hand. But something in me felt lighter. Back in New York, I met Lauren at our usual bistro. Told her everything. She stared out the window for a while before saying, "Thank you. I didn't need to see him, but I'm glad you did. Some ghosts don't knock before they return. Some show up in envelopes or memories or rain. But that's the thing about ghosts. Eventually, you learn to live beside them and keep walking." A few weeks after Caleb's letter, I found another envelope in my mailbox. This time, there was no stamp, no return address, just my name, written in Vanessa's familiar handwriting. I didn't open it right away. It sat on the table next to my bed for 3 days. Grace asked me once if I was okay. I said I was fine. I wasn't lying. I just didn't know how I felt. On the 4th night, I opened it. "Michael, I doubt you'll ever read this. I've gone over it in my head 100 times, but only now have I found the courage to write it. There is no excuse for what I did. I won't try to find one, but I want you to know it wasn't about love. It was about pain. My own. The one I never showed you. I hurt you. I know that. And the truth is, I cry about it every day. Not because of the money or the public shame, but because of the silence. Your silence. I don't expect anything from you. No forgiveness. No answer. Just for you to know, I loved you. In my own way. Imperfectly and brokenly. I hope you found peace. Vanessa." I sat there for a long time. Not angry. Not sad. Just sitting. Grace found me an hour later. She didn't ask questions. Just sat beside me and took my hand. I never wrote back. I never told Lauren. It didn't feel necessary. Sometimes closure isn't something you say. It's something you decide. Spring came early that year. The first buds bloomed in Central Park by the end of March. Grace and I spent more time outdoors. She taught me how to sketch shadows in a notebook. I taught her how to ignore text alerts. We laughed more. I thought about building a new house. somewhere quiet, outside the city, with more trees than walls. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't looking back. And maybe that was the greatest revenge of all. Not that they were gone, but that I was finally free. By early May, I found the place. A small stretch of land just outside Hudson, New York. Rolling green hills, tall maples swaying in the breeze, and a view of the river that stopped me in my tracks the first time I saw it. Grace stood beside me that morning, her hand tucked into my coat pocket. "You see it?" she asked, turning to look at me. "I see it," I said. "I see everything." The house plans came next. I didn't hire a celebrity architect. Just a local woman named Tilda who'd been designing homes for 20 years and still believed in building around sunlight and sound. "I want something honest," I told her. "Warm, open, no rooms for secrets." She smiled. "Then we start with the windows." Took months, and I didn't rush a second of it. Every beam, every tile, every nail. It all felt like building something more than a house. Felt like redemption. Lauren visited the site one weekend. She walked through the half-framed doorway, looked around and said, "You're not just moving, Michael. You're grounding." I liked that word. Grace and I moved in late October. The trees had turned amber and red, and the fireplace worked better than expected. There was no housewarming party. Just the two of us, a bottle of wine, and a playlist of quiet jazz. I stood in the kitchen that night, staring at the place where a dinner table would go. Grace wrapped her arms around my waist and whispered, "This feels like ours." "It is," I said, and I meant it. Sometimes I still get letters. Strangers who read headlines years ago and think they know the story. They send apologies, advice, or sometimes unsolicited theories about betrayal and forgiveness. I don't respond. That story ended long ago. This one's different. It's not about what was taken. It's about what I chose to build, to be continued. As roots deepen and walls stay full of light,